Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Ravens Call. I am your host again, Tyler Cameron. If you haven't already or don't know what this podcast consists of, you can go to my 1-minute intro video, or you can follow along by week basis on the games. This podcast will be available on Spotify, YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts. You find links to all of those through my Instagram or through all the other sites. On that note, I hope everyone is having a great day and ready to listen to some exciting NFL and Baltimore Ravens news. First up on the agenda is news around the NFL. So, didn't really have much news going forward. Robert Saleh was out as the Jets head coach. This was their first game. They just had their game last night when I was recording this. So, we're going to go straight into the Thursday night game, which I thought this game was going to be a little closer. It ended up being a lot closer as we got into the second half. 49ers won 36-24. They were able to play pretty well. Brock Purdy was able to have a good game. 255 yards and 3 TDs, no sacks. Geno Smith he hasn't looked great the past couple weeks. Through 52 passes, was picked off twice. They didn't really run the ball that much. They were playing from behind a lot, so they had to pass the ball. Tyler Lockett, 4 receptions, 65 yards and touchdown. Noah Fant. DK Metcalf, 3 catches, 48 yards is something to really look at. That was kind of shocking to see on that. For the 49ers, Deebo Samuel, 3 catches, 102 yards and a touchdown. He had that 76-yard touchdown in the second quarter. Kittle had another good game with 2 TDs. Brandon Ayuk's kind of just there. And yeah, it was a pretty good game from them. Jordan Mason ran really well for the 49ers and then got injured. And then they went to Isaac Darignato. I think that's his name. 10 carries, 99 yards. That's really good. So he was able to kind of ice the game for them. It was a pretty good game. It wasn't at the start. It was 16-3 at half. 49ers looked pretty good, and then Seahawks started stepping up to the plate and started making the game interesting, but it was too little too late. So both teams are 3-3. 49ers now lead the division over the Seahawks because of that head-to-head there. Sneak peek for later. We'll go on to the Broncos-Chargers game. This game was not good at the start. Pat Surtain got hurt for the Broncos. Jim Harbaugh actually had an illness. He was questionable to return, but he did come back. It did not look good in the first half. It was 20-0 at halftime. Denver's run game and pass game looked sluggish. Their defense didn't look the same without Surtain. J.K. Dobbins was able to run the ball pretty good. Herbert did his thing, converted. It was kind of a weird game. Denver started coming back in the fourth quarter. They scored 16 points to make it interesting and had a onside kick to maybe get it, and the kicker he couldn't do his job, even though he got 2 times to do it. But momentum really shifted. First possession, Bo Nix throws a pick. There was a too high. There was a pick. Javonte Williams fumbles the ball. So it was a tough game for both teams. Chargers didn't look really well, but Denver's got a lot of work to do. They have a Thursday night game against the Saints here, so that'll be a good one. They're 3-3 at this point, and the Chargers are 3-2. Trying to get that playoff spot because that's what you guys are going for at this point. I don't really think anyone's going to beat the Chiefs for the division title on that. Our London game. Now, this game was very boring. Caleb Williams had a great game. I'll give him that. He had a great game. Again, you are playing Jacksonville, so it does become a little bit of a gimme game. Like anyone who plays Carolina or the Jaguars, you naturally are going to, if you have a good game, it's kind of wiped away a little bit because you're playing them. You're playing a very easy defense to go against. So for the Jaguars, decent passing game, but their team's just so screwed. They have had really good performances. Evan Ingram finally came back, 10 receptions, 102 yards. But it was not a good game for Jacksonville. I'm surprised that Doug Peterson is still their head coach. Maybe that changes later today or tomorrow before the Thursday night game to where they are able to fire him and get some momentum, because 1-5 Jacksonville is not what I expected this year. Caleb Williams, 23 of 29, 226, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Very good game. Swift had another good running game. Cole Kmet, Keenan Allen both had 2 touchdowns. DJ Moore was kind of the weird factor where he didn't have much to go off of, but when you're winning and kind of cruising through the game, it's pretty easy. Other than that, there wasn't much to this game besides maybe ETN being out, questionable. But their run game has been pedestrian. The Jacksonville team is just so screwed. Now we're going to get into the morning games. This game was, I expected it to be a lot closer, but Green Bay was able to, get back into the form that they have looked so many times before and what we expected them to be at the start of the season once Jordan Love came in. Played really well, 22 of 32, 258, 4 TDs and a pick. No sacks. Josh Jacobs was able to have a good run game. The run game's kind of here and there, mix and match. We're able to pass the ball pretty well. Dobbs coming back was able to get 2 touchdowns, so that was good for him. They just played a solid brand of football. The defense really held up against Kyler Murray. Their run game was able to not do anything. Trey McBride was only stud at 8 receptions, 96 yards. Marvin Harris got injured. I think within the first quarter, it felt like he only had 2 targets, so his production wasn't that great. Arizona had 3 fumbles lost, which that can kind of hurt yourself when you're trying to come back in the game. It was 24-10 at half, and then it just kind of slowed down, and Arizona was not able to get back on it. But dominating win for the Packers. I think the Packers are going to start rolling here soon. Now the best morning game, I guess to say, being the closest game there was the Colts and the Titans. Now, I don't know. I really thought that maybe, just maybe, that this game might lean a little more towards Tennessee, but I kind of pegged to go for Joe Flacco just because I can't doubt him against teams like this. It was not a great game offensively for really either teams besides for Tony Pollard. Their pass games were pretty pedestrian, but they were able to get a good amount of points up, and Colts were able to get 10 points at the end of the game to win the game. Had a late second drive to get a touchdown to Pittman, which was good for them. Went up 20-17 and was able to hold that lead. It's very tough to see because I knew going into Tennessee, like, there are some people that could really use the receivers that are on Tennessee's roster and go for a run. Like the Ravens, I could see us getting Ridley. I could see us with Hopkins or Boyd helping our team. I mean, when you have Calvin Ridley here, let's see here. Calvin Ridley here, 8 targets, 0 receptions. And Will Levis throwing for 95 yards. There's something wrong. That's why Tennessee is a terrible team as well. So, It sucks because I think their defense really holds up against a lot of them, but their offense just gives the other team some points. Now, Texans just whooped the Patriots. Drake May, in his first career start, he actually played really well. I know he had 2 picks, he had 4 sacks. I get it, but he was able to really be a bright spot with his passing, you know, towards that second, third, and fourth quarter. Started getting more of a hang of it. Was able to throw some good passes, so definitely some good points there. But I mean, they're playing the Texans. Texans are a great team. CJ Stroud didn't pass the ball for as much, but was able to be very effective. Joe Mixon, being who he is, comes back and just was able to run the ball really well. Their run game was really effective against the Patriots. Diggs, Dell, Mixon, top receivers with touchdowns. It was one of those kind of games. 2 lost fumbles for Patriots. I mean, it just wasn't a good game for the Patriots, but it's to be expected with their line, with their O-line, and with a rookie quarterback playing a top team in the Texans. It's going to be very tough, but for them to score 21 points is actually a really good sign. It shows that they can score points with Drake May. Now, on to the next 2 games were supposed to be kind of like game of the weeks because they're very tough matchups. Derek Carr was out, so Spencer Rattler got his first career start. Played pretty decent at the start. They scored 27 points in the second quarter. They looked amazing. They looked really good. But then they just started tanking it in the third and fourth quarter. Spencer Rattler throws 2 picks, was sacked 5 times. Baker had a good game, but he threw a lot of picks, which was caused a lot of times for them to get those 27 points in the second quarter. But he was able to kind of bounce back from that. So no Rashid White. Bucky Irving had a great game again. Sean Tucker, 14 carries, 136 yards, and a touchdown. He was kind of, if you had him on your fantasy team, you probably didn't think he'd ever do this. Well, he did. Godwin had another good game, 11 receptions, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Mike Evans, 2 receptions, 34 yards. Not his best game, but he'll bounce back. Kamara was here. Chris Olave got injured at the start for New Orleans, so that was very tough to see for both of them. But another dominating performance against the Bucks. They have a Monday night game against the Ravens. That will be a very interesting game for both teams. 51-27 was the final score on that. That was just a dominating performance there. Now on to the game that showed that both teams are not looking very good. Yes, the Eagles won. Yes, they're 3-2, but they looked like shit. With the amount of weapons you have, you should be playing a lot better. And this Browns team played terribly. I was shocked it was even this close. Deshaun Watson, 16-23, 168 yards, no TDs, no interceptions, and sacked 5 times. That seems about right for him. Can't even throw over 200 yards a game. Their run game is terrible. They're pretty much begging to get the first round pick, but also I think they're begging to get Nick Chubb back because he will bring some offense going forward. Nick Chubb is supposed to start next week against the Bengals, which another division game. That'll be interesting. Judy, 1 reception, 35 yards. As my wife was a Bronco fan, there was a lot of debate in the Broncos whether you trade Judy or Sutton. And I said, you trade Judy. He is not as good as everyone thinks he is. Especially, Steve Smith Sr. was the one that called him out. And it was very true. He's been spot on ever since. Judy's played terrible. Cooper can only manage so much. Njoku finally came back, was able to be there a little bit. But Deshaun Watson and their run game are nowhere near what they need to be. And the defense can only hold up so much. But the Eagles' offense didn't play any better. Yes, Jalen Hurts 264 for 2 touchdowns. I mean, half that went to A.J. Brown because A.J. Brown's just a mismatch in itself. But the run game didn't look very good. They just didn't look good at all offensively coming out of the bye. Yeah, that was just pretty much it. There wasn't much going on in this game. I mean, 16-20 was not the score I would have expected. I figured there would be more scoring on the Eagles' end. So it really goes to show that it needs to be a wake-up call for both teams on what to do for next steps. Steelers, Raiders, I'm not really going to go into this game. I mean, Steelers facing a Raiders team that doesn't have Devontae Adams, doesn't have Wilkins on defense. They're playing a crippled Raiders team, and then they just switched quarterbacks. Again, you should win. Yes, the Ravens lost to the Steelers. We did. Tip to the cap. You take out Devontae Adams in that game, we win by 40. So, do with it what you will. Good bounce back game for the Steelers. Yeah, they put up 32, but it was over in the third quarter. Like, the Raiders looked terrible. The defense didn't have to do much to make that happen. So now the next afternoon game. Wow. This was a statement game for the Lions and a reality check for Dallas, who is 0-3 at home. This team is supposed to be good at home. Jared Goff, 18 for 25, 315, and 3 TDs. Amazing. Montgomery and Gibbs were able to match carry for carry, 80 to 63 yards. Montgomery had 2 touchdowns. They were able to pass the ball effectively. Amon-Ra didn't have his best game, but still, it was amazing for them. Dallas, 176 yards for Dak and 2 picks, sacked 4 times. Their run game couldn't go anywhere. CeeDee Lamb can only do so much, and it was just a bloodbath. Detroit looked amazing. Detroit is the team to beat in the NFC. I know that being said, I can't wait to see Detroit play Minnesota. I think that's going to be a very good game to see who's going to be that top person, because the 49ers don't look like it. The Commanders are still a young team, so it can teeter on the brink a little bit there. The Bucs look pretty good, but Detroit looks amazing. The Cowboys, you need to push the brakes. You guys talked so highly that you guys were going to make some splashes. You guys were going to be the team to beat this year. You did. You just re-signed Dak. You re-signed Lamb. You didn't go for anybody. You lost out on Derrick Henry, which you say that you wouldn't have been able to pay him. Bullshit. You were able to pay him. You just didn't want to. And now you can see what Derrick Henry's doing with the Ravens. So, and now your team is 3-3. We beat you. You've lost a good amount. And this game was supposed to be close. I was expecting Dallas to keep it close, but I was leaning more towards Detroit, and Detroit mashed them. Detroit did suffer an injury with Aiden Hutchinson. He broke his tibia, and prayers up for him. I know that was very gruesome, and I wish him a speedy recovery and wish him the best, because he didn't deserve to have that kind of injury set up his season. He was having a really good start to the season. Falcons and Panthers, another good game from the Falcons. What can I say? They're playing the Carolina Panthers. You should easily beat them, so they did. On to the Boarfest of Sunday night. Now, everyone, if you guys don't know the context, they wanted NBC to switch the Ravens Commanders game to the Sunday night game and have the Bengals and Giants play in the morning game, which rightfully so. The Giants are without Neighbors. They're not a good team. The Bengals are not really the same team that they were. Like, it was bad. It would have been a terrible game. We knew that. We either figured it would be a blowout, or people would be not as interested as the Ravens game. And guess what? The Ravens game was a showstopper in and of itself. It should have been the Sunday night game. But instead, we got dealt with this 17-7 game where I felt like I could fall asleep. It was this bad of a game. Defense is held up for both teams. Shocking for the Bengals that the defense was the one that saved them. The Giants looked pretty good. They would get down and then they would just botch everything. One penalty or something along those lines, and they would just give everything up. Daniel Jones threw a pick in the end zone. Joe Burrow had a rushing touchdown. That's how much this game shows you. Joe Burrow 208, no touchdowns, no sacks. No interceptions, 4 sacks. Chase Brown is looking like the kind of guy they want on this team. He was able to have a decent run game. They were able to pass the ball pretty effectively to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but they just couldn't get anything done. It was a sluggish, slow game. I wish I didn't have to watch this game, in my opinion. It was terrible to watch. So NBC, please do better when structuring games. If a lot of people want a game changed, and it's for a good reason. It's not like you're facing, what is it, 1-4 versus 2-3 versus 3-2 and 4-1 with the Ravens and Commanders. So that's what I didn't fully get with that. But I digress, What do I know? I don't know what everyone in the NFL is thinking. It's not like I don't know that the Bengals suck, which they should be better, but we'll see. All right, on to the Monday night game. Josh Allen looked really well. 2 touchdowns, only 6 incompletions, 215. Played really well. They were able to run the ball really well. James Cook was out, but Ray Davis came in and just killed it. Ty Johnson did as well. They were able to run the ball pretty effectively, almost 150 yards rushing. Passing was all kind of spread around. There was a lot of running in this game for them, as well as on New York side. Breece Hall, 18 carries, 113 yards. He also had 5 receptions, 56 yards. Aaron Rodgers had a pretty good game besides the pick. Had a Hail Mary throw at the end of the half to get them closer to 17 to 20 at half. Lazard had a good game, 6 receptions, 114. So did Garrett Wilson, 8 receptions, 107 yards. Other than that, Mike Williams doing nothing. That hurt them. But the missed field goals from both of them were costly. Greg Zuerlein missed 2. Bass missed 1. This is a very tight game. But I wanted to direct you guys' attention to what really matters. This game was the most penalized game ever, it felt like. So, as you see here, there were 22 penalties. 11 penalties for each. So, it was very even. The Bills had 94 yards in penalties. Jets had 110. Oh, it was terrible. It was such a terrible game for both teams in the penalty department. It was a very chippy game. There was a lot of fighting. No ejections, though, which was crazy. But, yeah, this game came down to the wire, and Aaron Rodgers, he threw the ball behind Mike Williams, but that was because he couldn't throw it to him or ahead of him because the safety was there, so he had to throw it behind him. It slipped, and Johnson was able to get there and make a spectacular interception. They were able to run to get the first down, and they were able to ice the game. So the Bills go 4-2. The Jets are 2-4. Now, the Jets were a contending team. They're supposed to be a playoff contending team. Well, they need to show up because as of right now, they are not in. They're in 3rd place right now. Miami had a bye, so we'll see what happens with Miami's schedule. But yeah, as of right now, they are not looking the best there. So that is it for the week 6 games. Again, if you like this format of me going through the box scores, please let me know if those work for you. If not, I can switch back to the other format that I kind of had before. We'll go into week 7 previews here in a little bit, but first, we're going to go to the team you all know and love, the team you're here for, the Baltimore Ravens. All right. So we'll just go bit by bit. Jayden Daniels had a really good game. 24 of 35, 269 and 2 touchdowns. Very good game. Lamar Jackson, 20 of 26, 323 yards, a touchdown to the pick. That pick, I kind of blame on Mark Andrews because it was right where it needed to be on the right side, and he just missed it and went straight into the guy's arms. That's not really a Lamar Jackson pick, but 2 sacks, 3 sacks for both teams. But the difference comes from the running game. Jayden Daniels, 6 carries for 22 yards, so we were able to contain him when it came to his running. Austin Ekeler was not able to do much. And then we have Baltimore Ravens rushing. You know how that goes. Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, that's what you want to see. Lamar Jackson, 11 carries, 40 yards. Yeah, it was a dominant game rushing the ball. I mean, 176 to 52 is what we like to see. Now, passing wise, a lot of good stuff to be seen. Zach Ertz had a good game for them. Noah Brown. Scary Terry just ripped Stevens all game. 6 receptions, 53 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Those 2 touchdowns were so costly. There's one off 4th and goal that I really thought Stevens had. He played a really good ball. Almost could have gotten it out, but that's what Scary Terry does. That's why he's their top receiver. For the Ravens, though, this happened in the first half with Zay Flowers. 9 receptions, 132 yards. He didn't really get any more receptions after the fact. We kind of just started running down their throats in the second half, in all honesty. But what I really loved to see was the next 2, which is Bateman, 4 receptions, 71 yards. He played amazing. He only had 4 targets, but he caught them all. Caught all his targets, and it was beautiful. He was able to run, get some more yardage on that. That's what Bateman does, is creating separation. And I talked at the start of the season that, is Bateman the right number 2? Is Bateman going to be the guy we need to really win? And, we're on a 4-game win streak, and he's had good games all of those games. So very proud of Bateman. Keep it up, man, because we're going to keep going at you, because people are going to start picking up on Zay Flowers and start putting their corners directly just on Zay Flowers, and you're going to have to beat your man. And I really think that we can do that there. Our next guy is Mark Andrews. Everyone in fantasy is like, is he back? I don't know yet, but he had a good game. Granted, he did at the start. Lamar Jackson threw the ball to him. He missed it, and guy went right into his hands. So 3 receptions, 66 yards and a touchdown. Good for him. Likely decent. Aguilar, 1 reception, 25 yards. That was that. Before we go on to the defenses and all that other stuff, it was a close game, guys. They played really well. The Commanders did. At halftime, I felt pretty confident because we were up 17-10. And then in the third quarter, we were up 27-13 kind of thing. And then we got into the fourth quarter, and then they started coming back. And I'm like, let's not. We're known for blowing fourth quarter leads, but Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson said no to that. We were able to kick a field goal, and we were able to shut them down a little bit. Our defense needs to be better, but our defense needs to be better, but at the same time, we've been playing let's go down the list of on the win streak how well we've done. We got Dak, Allen, Burrow, Jayden Daniels. 4 elite quarterbacks. 3 of them MVP type candidates. So, I'm hoping to see that we could shut it down in our division when we're facing like Deshaun Watson or Fields. Next week we have Baker Mayfield, another MVP type candidate. So really hope we can shut him down. Our team had 3 sacks. Ngakoue had his first sack for our team. He actually just got signed to the active roster. So, glad to have him on our team. We were able to get the sacks when needed, a lot on third down, which was really helpful. Put him out of a good position on that. Justin Tucker, 3 field goals, made them all. He has looked better ever since. We talked about how he wasn't looking good, and everyone keeps saying, "Oh, he's too old," and everything like that. Well, he's playing still really well. He knew it was a mechanical issue. He's fixed it so far, and he's looked well the past 4 weeks. So, for Baltimore, this is a huge win. We're 2-1 at home. Face the Commanders, which the Commanders have beaten every team in our division so far. Besides Pittsburgh, we'll see what they do against Pittsburgh. But, going in 3-2, facing a 4-1 Commanders team who's really hot on a 4-game win streak, us on a 3, was able to really boost it up. And everyone's talking about how we're the number 1 offense. Well, I think Lamar's never satisfied. He doesn't really care what he does in the regular season. It matters when it comes playoff time. We need everyone healthy. We need our defense getting back to form of last year. And we'll see where we go from here. But really good to see Derrick Henry having some fun and loving the game again. So very excited to see what happens from here. Now on to Week 7 previews and predictions. At a time where this is going to be very interesting games, I think there's going to be a lot of games where some business decisions will be made after this week, because we're going to start getting into the point where trade deadlines slowly approaching. We want to make sure that we're able to get some certain players. Like for us as a defense, I'd like to figure out what we're doing there. I mean, from Tennessee, like I want Hopkins. If I can get Hopkins, Zay Flowers, and Bateman, I think we're set. Because Hopkins is a mismatch in and of itself. You just put the ball up in your end zone. Like if we need to pass the ball, which we normally don't, but it's nice to have that other receiver that you can rely on that's a veteran. We don't have many veterans on our team like that. So I'd love a veteran star like that, but I can only hope. All right, on to Week 7 here. We have the Broncos and the Saints, a reunion for Sean Payton. The Broncos are 3-3, Saints are 2-4. I don't think that Derek Carr will be back for this game. So it'll be Spencer Rattler versus Bo Nix, rookie versus rookie. Bo Nix has looked okay, 5 touchdowns, 5 picks. He's looked a lot better the past week or so, but he's still got a lot of work to do. I think that the Broncos may be a slighter edge on this game. It does depend. For me, if Surtain is in, I think that they can win. If Surtain is not in, I would lean a little more towards the Saints. Just because, Saints were able to put up some points against the Bucks, but the Bucks don't have the defense that the Broncos do, so we'll have to see on that. On to our Sunday morning game, which is a London game, which Jaguars are playing again in London because no one wants to see them back at home. So Patriots and Jags. I'm going with the Jaguars. Even though that they're 1-5, I still think they're a good enough team to beat the Patriots, but you never know. Drake May could come out and kill them. And if Drake May comes out and the Patriots win this game, I think everyone on the Jaguars is just going to get traded. In all honesty, Falcons and Seahawks. This will be a good game. This is probably no. This isn't the game of the morning games. Actually, we got a couple. I've not looked at this upcoming week, so I have no idea. I'm reacting as much as you guys are. But this is another good game. Ooh. The Falcons have looked amazing so far. I think that the Falcons will win this game just because of how they've looked so far. They're starting to click. Kirk Cousins is starting to link up with a lot of different receivers. Bijan Robinson had a really good game. Seahawks have just looked discombobulated ever since starting 3-0. I mean, like I've said with the Steelers and the Seahawks when they both were 3-0, I said if they play good teams, they will lose. And Seahawks just didn't look like a team that deserved that 3-0 streak, and it's shown on that. Bills, Titans. Need I say more? The Bills should kill them. Bengals and Browns. The Bengals should win this game. If the Browns win this game, I will laugh. I want the Browns to win this game. Okay, because it just puts 2-5 versus 2-5 for me. Because I know that the Bengals are the team that I'm most nervous about. Steelers, I'm not as nervous about. Steelers are the Steelers. Woohoo. But the Browns beating the Bengals, putting them both at 2-5. And if we are able to win our game, we will be able to really go about and hopefully have like a 3-game lead. Oh, sorry. I just actually received word. I think you can see it over on this NFL news here. The Jets are finalizing a trade for Davante Adams. What a shocker, guys. Are we shocked about that? Yeah, like the Jets need any more help at receiver. You have Garrett Wilson and now you have Davante Adams. 2-4, we'll see. But Aaron Rodgers needs a stacked receiving core team to win. That's fine. Now on to the one of two of the games of the morning, like games of the week, which is the Texans and the Packers. I think the Texans are going to win this just because Stroud and Love, they're really good. I don't know. I really don't know on this one. I go with the Texans because I think they're just a little bit better of a team. But Packers are scary. They're playing well. They're playing at Lambeau, so we'll have to see. I don't know who I would choose. I'm leaning more towards the Texans, but I don't know. Colts and Dolphins. Colts will win if Flacco's starting and Taylor's back. If Taylor is not back, it could lean a little more towards the Dolphins. That's all I'll say to that, because I want to skip over to the next game, which is another great freaking game, which is the Lions and the Vikings. 5-0 versus 4-1. Top dogs in the NFC right here. I'm going to go Lions on this one because I just think that they're the most sound offensive team right now. And defensively, they'll bounce back. But I don't know. I don't want to go against the Vikings because the Vikings are just one of those scary teams that, they're 5-0 for a reason. It's not like they've beaten some cookie cutter teams. Like they beat the Texans who are 5-1. They've beaten the 49ers. Like they beat the Jets. They faced some tough teams with some big names and won. So, that's going to be a fun game to watch. Eagles, Giants. Eagles, if you don't win this game, I'm going to laugh at you. You have the most stacked. You have Saquon freaking Barkley. Enough said. Raiders, Rams. If Kyren Williams or if Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are back, they got it. Panthers, Commanders. That's all I got to say to that one. And the last afternoon game is the Chiefs and 49ers. I'm going to think that the 49ers are going to win this one. I hope that they win this one for my sake, because I don't think that the Chiefs are that good of a team. They've squeaked by in a lot of their wins. 49ers looked a little better offensively last week, but we'll see. I mean, the Chiefs are a tough team. They're a tough team just in general, so we'll have to see, but I want the 49ers to win that one. On to the Sunday night game, which is the Jets and the Steelers. Well, now that the Jets will most likely have Davante Adams, I think that they're going to win this one. Even with Adam, I think they'll win this one. Jets have a very good defense that will probably bottleneck the run for Pittsburgh, to where they're going to be having to pass. Sauce Gardner will be on Pickens. If Reed is back for the Jets, he'll be able to cover their number 2. Steelers defense will have to contend with Aaron Rodgers, so I think the Jets will win this one. Which, I mean, if the Jets win that one, that'd be good for us. One of our divisions will lose no matter what with the Browns and Bengals. Now we go to our Monday night game, which is the Ravens at the Bucks. I think that we should be okay with this game. I'm not discrediting the Bucks at all. Like, they're a great team. You know, they did face the Broncos and get trounced by a good defense. Our defense is pretty good as well, but our offense is hard to stop. And their defense, I don't think, is equipped to face a team like us right now. Just in general, I mean, our offense has looked very sound, but I'm not discrediting that this game's not going to be close. 3.5 could be little high. Like, I'm thinking this is like a 3-point or 2-point type game where it comes down to the wire. That's how most games go for us, honestly. But I'm going to go with my Ravens, but I'm not discrediting that the Bucks keep the game close. Chargers and Cardinals, this is a tough one. Cardinals just got beat by the Packers. Chargers just beat the Broncos. I don't know about this one, because Arizona's looked pretty good, but not as well recently. The Chargers have not looked the best. So, I don't know. I'm leaning a little more towards the Cardinals, but we'll see on that. So, that's that. The Bears and the Cowboys are on a bye. And that is it for Week 7 previews. As you've seen, Davante Adams is now a Jet. So congrats to him for getting off a shitty Raiders team. That will definitely help a lot of other teams, especially the Broncos, because now you don't have to contend with the Raiders having a good offense. So, and everyone kind of knew going in that he was going to be a Jet, just because of how Aaron had it. So I didn't think that they wanted anything. And supposedly, the Raiders are getting a 4th round pick. Let me just make sure. Oh. Raiders are finalizing trade Adams to Jets for a conditional 3rd round pick that can become a 2nd. That, to me, is the dumbest trade in the world. You're going to give up a star athlete to the Jets team that's looking to contend for a Super Bowl for maybe a pick that's a 2nd round pick. Not a guaranteed 2nd round pick, just a maybe. So, good on you guys. That's why you guys are a shitty organization. But hey, at least you didn't give him to the Chiefs. That's all I can say on that. As the clock winds down, another riveting episode. I want to thank you guys all for listening. My schedule is the same. Wednesday at 12 is when I'm expecting to have this done and uploaded for you on all platforms. Make sure to post something on my Instagram page. My podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform you prefer. Again, if you have any comments, want to say anything, want me to talk about anything a little bit more in depth, any team besides the Browns, I'm all for it. I'm open to suggestions on that. Also, all the music and sound is provided by my brother-in-law, Justin. So, Justin, thank you for that. Well, Ravens Nation, thanks for joining me on this episode. Until next time, stay fierce, stay loyal, and keep rooting for that purple and black. I will see you next time on The Ravens Call.